Please chant. Word for word, tataha, thereafter, nivrittaha, retired from that endeavor, aprati, apratilabdha kamaha, without achievement of the desired destination, swadishnyam, own seat, asadhya, reaching, punaha, again, saha, he, devaha, the demigod, shanay, without delay, jitasvasa, controlling the breath, nivritta, retired, jitaha, intelligence, nyasidat, sat down, aruda, in confidence, samadhi yogaha, in meditation on the Lord. Translation. Thereafter, being unable to achieve the desired destination, he retired from such searching and came back again to the top of the lotus. Thus, controlling all objectives, he concentrated his mind on the Supreme Lord. So this is referring to Lord Brahma. Please repeat. Thereafter, being unable to achieve the desired destination, he retired from such searching and came back again to the top of the lotus. Thus, controlling all objectives, he concentrated his mind on the Supreme Lord. Purport. Samadhi involves concentrating the mind upon the supreme cause of all, even if one is unaware of whether his actual nature is personal, impersonal, or localized. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is certainly a form of devotional service. To cease from personal sense endeavors and to concentrate on the Supreme Cause is a sign of self-surrender, and when self-surrender is present, that is a sure sign of devotional service. Each and every living entity needs to engage in devotional service to the Lord if he wishes to understand the ultimate cause of his existence. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Devi Krishna Goswami Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Goswami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauram Shoni. So I seek the blessings of all the devotees that I can speak something that will be beneficial to all of us and to myself as well, and it can penetrate our hearts, and we can apply this knowledge and come closer to Krishna and assist others to come closer to Krishna. So in this purport, Prabhupada mentions the word samadhi. Who can remember what samadhi means?
Meditation on the Lord.
Yes, meditation on the Lord and concentration on the Lord. And also it's saying self-surrender unto the Lord, and that is devotional service. So anything that's connected to Krishna is devotional service. So it says there that Brahma, he was unable to achieve his desired destination. So he was trying to find out what his purpose was, who he is, and what he needs to do. So he was unable to find that because he was going up and down the lotus. And then he retired from such searching, and the Lord within his heart inspired him to perform tapasya and then meditate on the Lord within the heart. So Samadhi in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1, it says, Tene Brahma Reda Adi Kavaye. It says that inspired from within the heart, Lord Brahma was inspired within the heart by Lord Krishna. There's a saying by Albert Einstein, a famous line, which says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And this is in context to material endeavors. Anything we do in the material world, then we keep doing the same thing and we come up, it's like the saying that we keep hitting ourselves on the wall and we expect a different result. We're saying, oh, my head is sore. But that's how covered over we are, that we're trying to enjoy in the material world. It says there that in Bhagavad Gita 2:13, Dehinosminita dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir derastatra na muhyati. It says that the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So we are trying to, the reason why we are transmigrating in the material world is because we are trying to find some happiness in the material world. It's like chewing sugar cane. We try to chew the sugar cane and we're trying to get as much juice as we can, even though we've chewed all the juice out, but we're still trying to chew the chewed, trying to come back and trying to enjoy in different permutations and different ways of trying to enjoy, like the pigeons. They want to, if someone wants to enjoy sex life continuously, they come in the form of a pigeon that can practically 24 hours enjoy sex life. And someone wants sharp vision, like the eagle, they can come back in the form of, in the body of an eagle. So many millions of life forms, 8,400,000 species in our planetary system, and we're trying to enjoy in the material world. Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita 8:16, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka. So in that verse, it's mentioning that from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes his birth. So it says there that in the purport that when there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees, who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. So Lord Brahma is very intelligent. He is the supreme engineer of this cosmic manifestation, and he has been empowered by the Lord. So he was meditating because he wanted to find out what his mission was in life. So after trying to endeavor separately and trying to go up and down the lotus, then he was inspired within the heart. He stopped searching and then he started to meditate and go into samadhi and concentrate on the Supreme Lord. So any endeavor we have in the material world, even though sometimes morally it can seem like it's a good thing that we're doing, feeding the poor and building hospitals and things like that, there is benefit in that. But ultimately at the end of life, everything is finished. But anything done in connection with the Lord, just like the Krishna Consciousness Movement, ISKCON, we have the Food for Life program where we distribute prasadam, we distribute food, but it's not just ordinary food, it's food that is offered to the Lord and it becomes blessed food. And by eating that blessed food, that person is not only physically nourished, but then they are getting, the layers are being taken off, we are becoming purified so that we can understand who we are, who is God, and what is our relationship with God, what is our mission in this lifetime that we have, and how can we progress further so we can ultimately go back to the spiritual world. Because we know that in the material world, there's these 4 defects. So even if we go to the highest planet of Lord Brahma, where there's so much opulence, there's no disease, but ultimately there is death and we have to come back again. So who knows what are the 4 defects of the material world? Sophia and then Radhakunda.
Propensity to cheat, we forget and we make mistakes, but I can't remember the fourth.
Yeah, those are the 4 defects, but you're right. So sorry, my question, I'll word it differently. What are the 4 aspects of being born in the material world where it's not in the spiritual world? Yes. So whether we are living like the Queen of England, she was living in a big palace and she was living a very opulent life, good medical facilities, first world countries, but still she had to undergo old age, she had to undergo disease and finally death. So in the material world, even if we try to endeavor, we work hard, we go to university, we have a good job, we have a nice facility, we have money to buy $1 million, $1 trillion, whatever it is, opulent house, we still can't escape birth, death, old age, and disease. But what is that key that we can escape is by developing our relationship with God, with Krishna, and that is by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So Lord Brahma here, he was meditating, he went into Samadhi and he was meditating on the Supreme Lord. In this age of Kali, where everything is so difficult, just by chanting these spiritual names of Krishna, which is the recommended process of getting out of this material world, which is very hard to get out of. Even for great personalities, we hear from the pages of Bhagavatam that even great devotees, they can fall away and slip away, and it's very difficult. But by the mercy of the devotees, by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of Krishna, we can get out of this material world. And that is by devotional service. So it's not that when we are living in the material world that we stop studying, we don't go to university if that is our inclination, we don't get a career. No, everything is all there, but we utilize it like the Yukta Vairagya. Everything is utilized in connection with the Supreme Lord. Just like if someone is doing gardening, they can do some gardening, grow some vegetables and flowers that are offered to the Lord. They can go to the market, sell those vegetables, and then they can make some money. So even householders who are living in the world and their children are going to university, going to school, everything they're doing, but ultimately they know that I am a servant of God, I am a servant of Krishna, and everything I'm doing is to please Krishna and to please the devotees. So even though externally it appears the same, just like Lord Brahma, he's an engineer, so there can be a big engineer building a big skyscraper building, but the devotee of Krishna, he can still build that skyscraper building, but he's building it in the consciousness that I'm empowered by the Lord to do this service, and I'm doing it so that I can also serve his parts and parcels, his devotees. So everything can be used in the Lord's service. In Srimad Bhagavatam 127 purport, it says there that negation does not mean negation of the positive. So we don't give up material activities. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive form. So in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, it also mentions there that in the spiritual world there's substance, and the material world, they're all different categories, but it's a shadow of the Supreme Lord. So even though this material world is temporary, but it's still, there is some reality to it, and we try to enjoy separately from Krishna. There is some enjoyment, some sense gratification, but it's only temporary and it won't last. But any activity done in connection with Krishna, just like Lord Brahma, he went into Samadhi, it produces some fruitful result. So in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, it states there that when we endeavor spiritually, and we have spiritual success, it's automatically followed by material success. So we do endeavor materially in the world, but to a certain degree. And that's why we have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We need to read the scriptures, take guidance and assistance from the devotees, and we need to approach a spiritual master who can guide us in our own special, unique package, how we can navigate ourselves in the material world. Just like in Bhagavatam, there's different instructions for different devotees. Lord Chaitanya gave one devotee instructions, Raghunath Das Goswami, that you renounce the world and you give up everything and you serve the Lord. And then he also had Grahastha disciples, householder disciples, who he asked them to engage in household activities. So everyone's package is designed differently. Yes, we have an overall overarching instructions, just like we have these instructions of no meat eating, no fish, eggs, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication. And we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So this is for all of us, this practice. But everyone is unique. There's a saying that no snowflake is the same. So when we're inspired by someone and we're inspired by the Bhagavatam, we need to understand how we can apply it individually in our own life. And we need to take guidance from the devotees, read the scriptures, try to pray for guidance, pray for understanding, how we can progress further and how we can utilize our mission in this material world. We are born here and each of us has a mission in serving the Lord. So it's a matter of us uncovering those layers so we can connect to that mission that we have in this lifetime so that we can progress further, and then ultimately one day or one lifetime or maybe even millions of lifetimes, but eventually go back home, back to Krishna, where we can also, we do the same activities, we serve Krishna, but we don't have to go through this whole suffering of birth, death, old age, and disease. So in the material world, we all endeavoring, just like Lord Brahma, he was endeavoring, he was going up and down the lotus, trying to search for what his mission was. So in Bhagavatam 7:13-25 purport, it mentions a pavarga. Pavarga. So the 5 letters representing the stages of suffering in the material world. Excuse me, I'll just quickly get that purport. It says there in the purport of translation 7:13-25, in the course of the evolutionary process, which is caused by fruitive activities due to undesirable material sense gratification, I have received this human form of life, which can lead to the heavenly planets, to liberation, to the lower species, or to rebirth among human beings. So we are all evolving in the material world. So we have an opportunity, whether we want to engage in sense gratification or try to become purified, to uncover the layers of the material coverings, to understand the true self, and to understand our relationship with our source, with Krishna. In the purport it says there, and that's why we're so fortunate we have this human form of life, because all living entities, we have these 4 propensities that, who knows what are the 4 propensities of the living entities? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But in the human form of life, we have this extra facility, and that is inquiry. We have the consciousness where we can inquire, who am I, who is God, and what is my relationship with God, and what is my purpose? And in this purport of 7:13-25, Prabhupada mentions there, all living entities within this material world are undergoing the cycle of birth and death according to the laws of nature. This struggle of birth and death in different species may be called the evolutionary process, but in the Western world it has been wrongly explained. That's Darwin's theory. Material life is called pavarga because here we are subject to 5 different states of suffering, represented by the letters pa, ba, and ma. Pa means parishrama, very hard labor. We're all working very hard to try to achieve something. Like even material life, we go to university. University students, they have to sacrifice going to the party if they have an assignment. So even in the material world, when we want to achieve some goal, we have to undergo some tapasya, some austerity, and we have to negate some activities like sense gratification. So in spiritual life, sometimes people think that, oh, spiritual life is very easy. Yes, it is very easy, but it's not cheap. If in material life we have to work to achieve something, of course spiritual life is we need to work for it to achieve that success. So it says there that mercy is causeless mercy. So causeless is referring to material cause. There's no material cause, there's no material bar to practice devotional service. If someone is poor, someone is rich, someone is diseased, someone is very healthy, someone is ugly, someone is beautiful in the estimation of that beauty as in the eye of the beholder, any material condition, there is no bar, there is no stoppage of practicing devotional service. But if one just has that sincere desire to know about God, that in itself is devotional service. If one just does something to serve the devotees, one gets agyata sukriti, unknown devotional service. So Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, is so merciful that we have so much opportunity. We don't even know that we have performed devotional service even before we consciously came to Krishna, because Krishna has created so many ways where we can get mercy. And that is his causeless mercy, is that when we do something in connection with the Lord. And that's why Lord Brahma, when he stopped doing his searching with his own endeavors, and then he's connected to Krishna, went into samadhi, then that Prabhupada mentioned is devotional service because it's connected to Krishna. So it's like there's also the pavarga, it's pina. So when we work hard, sometimes people are laboring so hard, there's foam coming out of the mouth. And sometimes we see it clearly in animals. You know, horses and animals, they work so hard. Donkeys, they're carrying heavy loads. So we can say, even though it sounds heavy, we are like the donkeys. If we don't engage, if we don't engage in connection with Krishna, we are just like the donkey, even though we are in the human form of life. The donkey is also enjoying sex life, even though it's outside, and the person who's endeavored to earn so much money in the high skyscraper building, in whatever permutations or whatever, trying to enjoy sex life in whatever perverted way, still that same degree of sex enjoyment is still there in that animal that is doing it out in the street, in the view of every living entity. So that's why in the human form of life, instead of endeavoring for these material things that are even available to even animals, they don't have to endeavor, they're getting food and shelter. Krishna is looking after the big giant elephant in the forests of Africa, in India, and they are getting their food supply. So why should we endeavor so hard materially? Yes, we do endeavor, but not to the point of like working so hard like an ass to try to get some sense gratification. In Sri Ishopanishad, it says there, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. So Krishna is the proprietor of everything, and we all have a certain quota, every one of us. So it's not that we try to compare, oh, this person got that much because they did such and such an activity. We see so many people go to university, but not all of them become millionaires, not all of them are successful. So we all have our own quota. If we start comparing ourselves to others, then we'll be very miserable. But if we accept whatever quota Krishna's given us, we are satisfied and we dovetail it, we connect it to Krishna, then we'll be happy because we are self-satisfied. We are looking for what will give satisfaction to the self, and that is our connection with Krishna. And so not that we compare ourselves, but we get inspired by others and we see how can I be inspired by that person and utilize that same thing in my own capacity so that I can also be satisfied and be connected to Krishna and be happy. So learn from Lord Brahma, who is the engineer of this cosmic manifestation, how we shouldn't just keep endeavoring, hitting ourselves against the same wall, trying to achieve in the material world, try to endeavor so much, but stop and connect with Krishna, connect with the devotees, and go into samadhi. And samadhi means not just sitting still and meditating. Samadhi means doing all our activities in connection with Krishna, and that is true samadhi. Even though externally, materially, it may seem someone is a big businessman, going out on a job, someone is going to university, if they are connected with Krishna, then that is samadhi. So I'll end there if anyone has any questions, comments, corrections. Or any questions or comments related to anything else, you can try to answer, or someone else can. Just one thing also, I just wanted to mention that when we are born in this material world, it also depends on our karma. So who knows what is karma? Karma is Sham, what? Yes. Action and reaction. So in the material world, we are all born here because we did something in our previous life, and that's why we got this body. So we may have, like for me, I have an Indian body, a female body, and we have different bodies and different packages, different makeup, and different subtle impressions within the mind. So, and that is based on our desire. So it says there that whatever in Bhagavad Gita, whatever we remember at the time of death, that form you'll attain. So it's not just based on our desire, but it also is based on what we deserve. I remember at one time there was the law of attraction that came out, and everyone says, oh, manifestation, law of attraction. And my spiritual master, B. Krishna Goswami, says, yes, it kind of has its place there, but also it depends on one's deservability. If someone says manifesting a bike and they want a big fancy, like a nice fancy bike, yes, maybe they'll get a bike that is broken down or something like that. So it also depends on what we deserve. So we have this package in this material world, and we have these subtle impressions in our mind from lifetimes traveling in the material world, from time immemorial. But we are so fortunate by Prabhupada's mercy, by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, that we have this loophole where we can come out. So no matter how many coverings, how many layers, how many things we have in our life. And one thing that really helped me, that my husband shared with me, and I thought maybe I can share it, that it might help someone else, is that, you know, nowadays there's this big push for mental health, and even within our devotee community. So yes, it has its place there where we need to try to understand. But beyond that, there's something even more, that we have so many mental health problems, not just this lifetime, so many subtle from so many lifetimes. And if we try to focus on that separately from Krishna, try to endeavor it, of course, we utilize all material things, like even if someone has marriage problems, they go to a counselor. But we need to keep in mind that factor, that Krishna is the center. Yes, we try to work through our, baggage that we are carrying, but remember that we have this process of Krishna consciousness. So do whatever we need to do, and I'm also telling myself that to deal with the baggage that we have. But remember that Krishna is so supreme, he can do anything he wants to. Prabhupada told one disciple that he says, Maya is so difficult to overcome. Prabhupada says that, Krishna can kick away this Maya with 1 foot. So the spiritual master is empowered, he can do that. So we need to remember that Krishna is the supreme controller, and his devotees are empowered to guide us. And as we are going on on our journey, each individual on our journey in this material world, we are fortunate that we have come to Krishna by Prabhupada's mercy, and we try to keep Krishna in the center, whatever we are doing. So we'll end there. Thank you very much. If anyone has any last minute, anything, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your class. And you mentioned more than once that whatever we do, we should do it for Krishna. And maybe you can give some examples on that and from your life, from your experience, because for me, I easily get distracted in this world. So as soon as I go out of the room, my mind is active, and there's a tendency to follow my mind. So maybe you can give an example of your life, how you do what you do for Krishna.
I expect devotees always speak out of humility, that they don't, but I think every activity devotees do, it's connected to Krishna. Like, I'll give the example. When I was in Auckland, I took up studies as an adult, and I was living at the temple, and my desire was that I still wanted to be connected to the temple, but I needed to maintain myself financially as well. So I studied teaching, and I had that vision and that goal in mind that I'm going to utilize this to teach children in a Gurukul, and also work part-time, so I can also be involved in temple life, because we have to engage according to our nature. So I was very much attracted to deity worship, so I wanted to continue that. So I went to university, and I kept that focus in mind. Even though it may not be in your humility, you might say you forget when you go outside, but at the back of the mind, it's there that this is what I'm doing. It's connected to Krishna. And yes, by Krishna's mercy, I got my degree. Then when I moved here, I taught at the Gurukul for 8 years, and I got some income, so I was able to maintain myself. I was able to buy some things for my family. I was able to use that money to go on pilgrimage to Krishna. So that is all connected to Krishna. I'm buying bhoga, I was buying food and cooking it, offering it to Krishna. So that is devotional service. I was buying clothes. I had a car for some time, and I was using it to go to, when my Guru Maharaj would visit Auckland, I would drive to the place where he was staying, go there. So all these things, everyone has a car, but a devotee uses that car to go to the supermarket, buy bhoga, and then offer it to the Lord, or go to a devotee's house, go buy some clothes. But what are we doing? We're wearing the clothes for Krishna's service. We're bathing, we're buying soap, we're buying toothpaste, we're doing those, what's it called? We're doing, bathing, whatever we're doing, it's all connected to Krishna. I'm getting up early in the morning, I'm utilizing that toothbrush, that toothpaste that I bought from the supermarket, that I earned maybe going to work, and I'm coming to the temple. And so everything, it's all connected to Krishna. And yet, as you were saying, I'm sure in your humility, but everything devotees do, we even though it's not in the forefront of our mind that we're doing it for Krishna, we know that that's who we are. We are servants of Krishna, and we all need to be reminded that to try to keep it in the forefront of our mind that I'm a servant of Krishna, and whatever I'm saying, I need to preach to myself. Be kind, be patient, and doing it because that will make Krishna happy. And we all have our coverings, we all have our conditionings, but we just engage in Krishna service according to our nature. And that's me speaking for myself. Maybe others have different propensities. I'm trying to think, like Ajita Prabhu, he's the manager, so he's driving the big tractor. Someone else out there is driving the big tractor, but he's driving the big tractor maybe. And Mahamantra Prabhu, they clearing the road pathway, they're building the new units over there, and he's doing the work same as the person who's outside on the road clearing the road to make a pathway so the devotees can drive in when they come. So that is a devotional service, because it's service done on the holy Dham, the holy land of Krishna. Service to the devotees, because you're building a house for the devotees. So everything, even whatever we're earning, whatever we're buying, where we're walking, we're driving, everything in the background is always Krishna, it's for Krishna. And then we remind each other that in the forefront, it's all for Krishna. Thank you. Okay.
I just wanted to add something. It's just a matter of training, just like everything. So creating these neuron pathways. And being here in the community is easier because everything is somehow connected to Krishna. So you come to the temple, you see Krishna, you see devotees, you think of Krishna, you take the sign. It's easier than anywhere else. That's the advantage of being here. But basically it's just like any other training, because mind is restless. It just wanders anywhere and everywhere. It needs to be focused on Krishna, and that's the successful life.
Yeah, thank you for that point. Yeah, it's easier when we are here in the community, but there's still examples of so many devotees also who live outside, that they've made it successful, like Krishna Bhavana and Devagora Hari Prabhu. They own the Lucid, and they come, they regularly come, the whole family, they have so many kids. The whole family comes with the kids. They come for darshan, they come for Guru Puja, even not regularly, but I'm sure they do it at home as well. But just to have some connection with the temple, to do some service, Krishna Bhavana's taken on commitment to doing regular garlands every week, just that's some connection. But also it depends, everyone's got to work in the world. But yeah, definitely it's easier, as you said, when we are in the community of devotees. But we can all make it work. There's no loss, there's no, Krishna is so merciful that if we really desire to please him, put him in the center, no matter what our condition is, where we are. If someone can be in the most, like in Ukraine, and Russia, people, they're struggling and they're suffering so much, but still they are devotees there. It doesn't matter whatever condition they are, where they are, even if they're isolated. If we want to choose Krishna, Krishna will make it easy for us to do it, despite our sufferings, despite our material obstacles. So thank you for mentioning about the creating neuron pathways. Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.